Guys, welcome back. Home Tour Podcast, episode 37. Today, we're going to get down and dirty. You're going to get to know me and Christian before we entered this real estate world, but we're not going to get down and dirty on the show. Don't worry about that. We're going to keep it at least at a PG-13.
PG.
No, because every once in a while, we might drop a word or two that'll push us outside that Disney PG range. So
That's right.
You just never know what'll get said out these mouths. But anyways, I'm Tyler Willis Media. Payton, what you got going on over there?
Hey guys, I'm Payton with Payton Peoples and Company, Keller Williams Realty Atlanta Partners.
Boys first.
Oh,
thank you so much. Such a gentle lady.
Yes.
Such a gentle lady.
That's
CrossCountry
awesome.
Mortgage and Peachtree City.
Love it.
Yay.
I'm Megan with CrossCountry Mortgage out of Peachtree City.
Oh, I love it. I love
also
it.
known as your Hats and Homes girl, also known as the gentle.
Yeah,
The
we'll go
gentle lady.
We'll go with Hats and Homes girl.
I love the gentle lady. That's fantastic. Now you got to make a new logo.
No,
Yeah.
I know.
we're sticking with Hats
Sorry.
and Homes.
Keep it on the DL
No,
with the
there's no
GL,
hat.
baby. Keep it on the DL with the GL. I love it. Okay.
We are a whole ass.
See, we're already kicking it into that weird PG, like upper PG-13 range. So you just never know. You never know, people. But yeah, you're going to get to know your host. It's me and Christian. We're going to spill all the beans about what we did before we got to this point in our life. And hopefully you stick around because you just never know what will get said.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. So Christian, let's
It'll be a
talk.
good time.
Let's go with you first, Christian. How did you end up in Georgia? How did you end up in Peachtree City? What all culminated to get you here?
Drugs. No.
Yeah, we're now officially PG-13.
We
There it
flew right
goes.
through the Disney thing.
Yeah.
Some schools
Okay.
is still PG-13.
That's right.
I used to live in New York before Georgia, and I used to party a lot. Started dating my wife, and suddenly we moved to Georgia to start a family. I think it was
New York to Georgia. How did you specifically choose Georgia? Did you just throw a dart on a map or
Kind
something? Or
So while I was in New York, my wife was living in Peru still. We used to have day nights, and then there is a wide selection of flights from New York that are quite expensive, especially if you're
Yep.
drunk. And then you're like, I'm gonna go see my girlfriend.
first class?
And then I remember back in 2013, I was doing a road trip, and I stopped by here to see some friends. They live in Newton, and then my friends were like, "Hey, do you want to see where we work?" And I was like, "Yeah, great." And so that was CTCA, like a year after they opened. So they showed me the facilities, everything was good. What time are we gonna go eat? And they're like, "We want you to meet our boss first." So they introduced me to their boss, and then we talked a little bit. And then he's like, "Do you want to move here?" I was like, "No." No.
Really not. No.
No. Let me think about it. No.
Yeah, I have a good job. I'm saying I have my own apartment in New York. That's like an accomplishment. And
Yep.
and they're like, "Okay, just think about it." I was like, "Yeah, nope, I'm not gonna think about it." Anyways, a year later, I'm dating my wife, and she's, "Oh, I'm gonna enroll into this program where I can actually go to work in the U.S." And I was like, "How convenient! Now I don't have to fly to Peru to see you." And then one of the job offers was here in Atlanta, and I was like,
Cool.
I remember somebody offering. So I
And I said no.
so I quit my job. I went to Peru and I lived there for a month at her house. And while I was there, I called CTCA and I say, "Hey, do you guys remember me? You gave me a job offer about a year ago." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's
Yep.
still open. If you're interested." I was like, "Yeah, I'm interested." So
Nice.
I got the job. My wife got the job. And we decided to move here to Atlanta. So I went back to New York and put everything in the storage. And I moved here 2 days later.
Golly.
Yeah.
So, like,
That's
what was
wild.
your New York life like? Were you like apartment? Like, what did that look like? Because that's all I ever see. Like down here, they're like, "Oh yeah, my apartment's like 400 square feet. And it's $14,000 a month."
Yeah.
Like,
That's right.
It's around like that. So when I first moved to New York, that was in 2008. And then I was living with my mom. My mom was living here for about 15 years already. So moved here and living with her. She had a small studio apartment, so I was sleeping on the living room. And then I was like, I need to go out and do my own things. uh, live
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else. I always wanted to be living on my own. So I moved into this tiny apartment, which was really tiny. You could only fit two twin beds
See,
and a
I knew
dresser,
it. I knew it.
Closet.
and the
Closet.
bathroom was so tiny that if you needed to clean yourself, you had to go outside the bathroom and wipe, and then go back
Oh my
inside
gosh.
See,
and that was $1,700. So just
golly.
one
Stop.
roommate.
And what year was this?
This is
Oh, wait.
2012. Oh, wait, this one when I moved to the US, and then this
Okay.
was 2010. So
And now that
Wow.
1,700 apartment is
yeah.
3,500.
It's
Mhm.
probably like
Yeah.
35.
Mhm.
It's probably 3,500 to wipe your ass in
Yes,
your living
so
room.
that was in
Great.
Chelsea. So it was very convenient, but it was a tiny place. After that, I
No.
moved to Astoria, and then it was a bigger
Okay.
apartment. I also had a roommate then, and when you lease this up, you just really want to find something else. Sometimes you want to just stay there if you have the same roommates all the time. I didn't have a roommate then, so I started renting rooms in apartments, and that's very common too.
Yep.
Sometimes one of the roommates goes abroad, and then they have their apartment or their room available for 6 months or so. So they don't want to get out of the lease, so they sublet it. So I did that. I moved, I don't know, 8 times probably while I was living in New York. It was every 6 months I was moving to a different place. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? This is not working out for me. So then I got a really good job opportunity, and then a better one after that. And then I was like, I'm actually going to go find something just for me. So I found a studio apartment in Astoria, Queens, and I lived there. That was slightly better than the first one. Yeah, I actually could stay in the bathroom the whole time.
What an
Yeah, it was an
upgrade.
upgrade.
Oh my
Yeah, it was
gosh.
great. So I was there for about 2 years, living by myself, and just I just went there to sleep because you go into work. I had
Yep.
2 jobs at the time. Going to work, leave work like around 11 p.m., and then go to the bar, go party, and then go back to your appointment at two,
Wow.
3 in the morning. Um,
Pass
yeah,
out.
pass out and then
Do it
go
all
back to
again
work.
next day.
It's New Year's.
Golly.
Hmm.
And people wonder why corporate America is really wanting to push for work from home
Hmm.
situations.
Yeah.
This here.
Dang.
Golly. So you get down here, you start working, and then like how did you end up at Toyota? Because you went from like what was that looking
Just to go back a little bit, I actually changed industries a few times. I went to college for engineering systems, and then at the moment I was dealing with Pascal. By the last year, we were dealing with Java. You probably know about that, but
a little bit?
these are coding softwares that we use in the back in the day, and then I was learning how to do that, and I thought it was a little bit boring, so I didn't really connect. I didn't really click with that, so I left that, and then at the moment, this is in 2004, 2005. The new thing was to be a chef. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go find a school. I went to a different city, and I found a school, culinary school. So I went there. That's where I met my wife, and I studied gastronomy. So graduated, moved to New York, worked in a few restaurants, and worked at CTCA in the kitchen. And then at one point, what I was doing in New York was something that actually filled me. It was exhausting, but it was very interesting. It was something that I have never done in my life. It was challenging, and it was creative, and I
Right.
love that. I love that sense of stress
Uh,
and somebody else belittling you, like talking you down, but like treating you like a piece of garbage. But at the same time, when you get out of that situation, of that talk, of that pep talk, you have the
pep
best
talk.
service ever, and then that's, oh my gosh, this deserves a Stella. So I
Nice.
did that, and I love that. I love that environment. I was involved in fine dining for a while. I worked at CTCA. CTCA was a great place. They had a good vision, and I was trying to maybe adapt to this new lifestyle. But it backfired on me. I was not made for that. I wanted the stress. I wanted something wild. I was not used to nice people. You move here to the south, what's going on? Do I have something on my face? Dang.
People are holding the door open. What is this?
Yeah, it was different. So I got burned out, and then I got tired of that, and then we had our first son, and my wife stayed home for 9 months, and then I stayed with him for 9 months, and I was like, I need to do something else. I loved knives at the time, so I started shopping for Japanese knives. I knew a company in New York that was the only company that actually traded traditional Japanese knives from Japan. So I opened a small shop here, online shop, and it was just Japanese knives. It did well at the beginning, and after that, you just run out of business because in Atlanta at the time, who wants to spend $300-400 on a knife? So that was a little bit challenging. And then I was like, okay, I like cars a lot. And my wife is, you should go get a job at a dealership. I was like, but it's not the same. That's sales. I don't like sales. I like cars. I want to own them. I want to drive them. I remember I was going to a restaurant interview, a job interview, in the restaurant area in Buckhead. And then I met a chef. The chef is great. I want to retire. You're perfect for the position. You're hired. And I'm driving back and I'm like, I'm going to drive an hour a day. I'm going to go back to the same lifestyle, the one that I had before. Now I have a kid. Now I'm married.
Yep.
I'm like, geez, 12 hours, 13 hours working here. I know I love it, but maybe not the best. And then I just stopped by Toyota of Newton. I was like, I'm going to listen to my wife. So I filled out an application, and the GSM Corey at the time, he interviews me. I'm not dressed for an interview. And then he said, you have to wear slacks, you have to wear dress shoes. And I was going for a kitchen job interview. You can just dress however you want to. And you can just wear a rag, and that's okay as long as you. But then he's, so how do you end up here? And I was like, well, my wife told me to. And then he started cracking up, and he's, I like you. When can you start? I was like, tomorrow. And he's, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. So I got a job at Toyota.
No.
Yeah, and I was shy. I couldn't talk to somebody that I didn't know. In New York, you don't have to talk to anybody, so you never develop that thing. You just go to the bar and talk to somebody when you're drunk, and I don't think being drunk at work is the best thing to do here.
Correct.
Depends on where you
Yeah,
work.
exactly. It was
You
challenging.
said this with coffee.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. So I love cars, but I didn't know how to sell. And
Yeah.
I don't know. One day I just decided to talk to this lady that had drive out tags. Nobody wanted to talk to her because they said she just bought that car. She's not going to buy anything. Nobody wanted to talk to her. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go talk to her. Hi, Michelle. I still remember you. And then she gets out of the car, and then I'm like, hey, how can I help you? And she's like, yeah, I just bought this car, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. And I show her a Toyota Camry. And she's, oh, this car is awesome. I really like it, but I don't know.
Yep.
And I ended up selling her a car that day.
See?
And that was my first sale, and I didn't stop. I just kept going and going. I just thought that the very first sentence that comes out of your mouth is actually what makes everything easier. You either make the guard go higher or you make the guard drop. And then that's when I knew I liked that kind of business. The owner sold the dealership, new ownership came in, and then I just wanted to buy. I wanted to find a new path. And I ended up going to mortgages. I always like finance. I always like numbers. So I thought it was the right place to go.
Yep. Yeah, that's how I know Christian is from the Toyota side of his career down here in Georgia. And I'll never forget, we walked in and he looked at us and was like, what y'all here for? And we were like, we're ready to trade in this Toyota Sienna. It was a 2004, I think. It was a 2005 one. And we had bought it used. And I was quoted like $3,500 in repairs. And I walked in, I was like, I'm either going to pay the shop over here $3,500 or I'm buying a brand new van. What are we doing? And I'll never forget, he ran my credit. He was like, because we ran everything through my name back when we first got married. So my credit looked like crap, but then Kylie's is like, amazing. He runs by, he was like, yeah, he goes back, he was like, so I can show y'all this side over here in the back. So I was like,
these two in the back corner. Let's take a look at those.
And I was like, run her credit. And then I'll never forget, he runs back over to the table. He was like, what are we buying brand new today? What are we buying brand new today?
Everything is an option.
Land Cruiser is available.
Yep.
Oh my
right.
gosh. So we started, I'll never forget, we drove this like little small SUV and Addie legit puts her whole leg into the front seat for the back seat. And we had just pulled out and I turned right back around. I was like, it's a Sienna or nothing.
Yeah.
So, oh, it was fun. And then a week later, Christian calls and I was driving the van. And he was like, hey, just wanted to check it out. I was like, yeah, you told me this lane assist keeps me in the lane, so I'm not driving with hands anymore. He's, sir, please put your hands back on the wheel. So that's
Oh,
how
man.
that's how I got to know Christian. And then one day we were out at something, and I seen, oh, it was whenever you did an open house, the party event over there,
Oh, yeah.
the
Forever.
luxury. And Christian goes walking in. I was like, what are you doing here? And he's, I don't do Toyota anymore. I'm in mortgage. I was like, cool. I'm in real estate now full time. Here we go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wild.
Crazy. Have you,
Okay.
what's your biggest difference between New York and Georgia that you
There is really nothing to compare because my lifestyle in New York was totally different. I really had no responsibilities except for keeping myself alive. And here is just, it's all about family. You have, I think it's time flies here a lot faster than it does in New York. That's for sure.
that's
Mhm.
wild.
But I like
New
it.
York lifestyle
I
is
miss
different
it
from here.
sometimes, and I go to see my friends in New York once in a while. So it's fun, but it's not the same kind of fun. Before it, they will be afraid of going out with me because I will be like the guy that goes, says, "I'm going to the bathroom," and I actually go to the bartender. I do, yeah, we're gonna do bombs and car bombs, and then they will just put like a line of shots and beers in front of everybody, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Vivanco!" It's
Wow.
I was wild. We used to celebrate my birthday in Atlantic City every single year. They had promotions for like really nice hotels, suite for $59 or so, and they give you like $50 credit to actually go gamble. I don't like to gamble, but I will go to the 25-cent machines and just sit there and then get hammered. And
Ka-chink,
yeah,
ka-chink, ka-chink.
so we did that this year.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
my loyal friends, they hated it when I wanted to go out drinking. I wanted to go party. They're like, "Oh no,
Oh
not
my
anymore."
gosh.
I would just show up at 3:50 in the morning, right before they close the bar. They're like, and then Jaeger shots everywhere.
Oh my god.
Christian's the party is
Yeah,
here.
and exactly,
We
that's
got 10
exactly what.
minutes to make up for it,
Yeah,
guys. Oh
then
my
in
gosh.
New York, all the bars close at 4 o'clock. So we used to go to
Mm.
Koreatown, and then Koreatown they have restaurants, but on the second level they have karaoke rooms. So you go to the karaoke room and you get like some of the room service, so you can actually keep drinking after 4 o'clock. And then sometimes we just leave
Oh
the
my
place and be
gosh.
like, "Where are we having breakfast?"
Ah, see? I could never go to New York for that reason right there. Like, it's just too wild for me.
Yeah.
Because, all right, I'm up, and so
Your turn.
you're about to hear a total 180 different story. And
Yep.
so, I'm not the party type. I would rather hoodie and high and sweats and sleep kind of situation in life.
Yep.
But no, so started college right out of high school, and then I was in Americus, Georgia, and so down south, Bible
Georgia
Belt,
Southwestern.
Georgia Southwestern, baby. And
All
so
right.
I was right out there. I was a music major, believe it or not, and I'll never forget the end of the first trimester, whatever we called them back then, semester, whatever. And
Jesus, help.
GSW was different. GSW was different. Okay, it was
Okay.
real different.
Okay.
So I kid you not. I'm sitting up there. We do our recital because everybody, you had to do your own recital. And so I had picked a jazz piece, yada yada yada. Dean at the college comes walking in, is, hey guys, fantastic recital. I just cut the whole music program. And so we pretty much all lost our scholarships and had to find something else to do.
Oh my
And
god.
it was a weird time. And I stayed in the band program. I didn't continue on the track I wanted. So then I just spent like a year or two like trying out different classes to see what I wanted to do. And then I had basically finished out the core classes. So I had like my, general classes done. And then at the start of my junior year, I needed to start working on my actual major courses. And so I chose history of all things. it paired nicely with a minor degree that they were offering in women's studies. And so I was going through courses where it was like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday I was in my history classes, and Tuesday, Thursdays I was in these additional women's studies courses. And it was anything from like language to science to social studies, so it fit pretty nicely. And one of my first classes, I'll never forget, I'm in this literature class. It's about banned books, and it was a Maymester course. We had to read 20 books in 4 weeks. Yeah, it was wild. And so that class was 4 hours a day for 4 days a week.
A week.
And yeah,
For like a
week.
Maymester?
A Maymester. And so it was I was only in class for about 2.5 weeks, but they cram an entire semester into just a Maymester.
Yep.
It was wild. And so I learned a ton in that course, not so much about literature, but like why books are banned. And some are banned for like the craziest reasons. Anyways, so To Kill a Mockingbird, it wasn't because of the racial stuff that was banned. It was because of the dog in the book. So, yeah, makes no sense. Anyways, going through there, I finished up at GSW. Then I moved back to Thomasville, where I'm from. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then while I was at GSW, I had got to know some people, of course. And then I get a text one day that was like, "Hey, I got a friend that might be interested in getting to know you." I was like, "Okay, cool." And so she and I start texting back and forth, start meeting up. And this is my wife, Kylie. And so she had just moved back from Alaska. So she taught in Alaska for a year. And then she moved back down to Atlanta, Georgia, and Peachtree City with her dad. And so she was working, and then we met, and we would meet up on the weekends in Macon because it was like a halfway point, like Warner Robins area. So we were hanging out. You go to church on Sundays, kind of thing, meet up at church, go to lunch, and then say bye. And so we did that for a year and a half. And then she was peppering me all the time. "When are you going to propose? When are you going to propose?" I said, "Whenever it feels right." I'm really bad with dates. I was waiting for something I could remember. 12/1/12.
My God.
12/1/12 proposed. I drove up, did the whole thing with her dad. We stayed over at their house and surprised her one day when she drove in. And then we were trying to figure out where we wanted to live. And at the time, there was a hiring freeze that went across Georgia. They weren't hiring new teachers. They were actually trying to retire out older ones that were more expensive and hiring the younger ones that were much cheaper. And so we moved up to Noonan, or we chose Noonan because we couldn't afford Peachtree City. Like, we were in our 20s. Who can do that? And we started living at the cotton, I forget what it's called, the cotton mill or something like that, over here by the, I forget. We walk in. This lady, she's a perfect salesperson. There's a train tracks legitly 15 feet behind the building. Okay. And I was like,
Is it the lofts?
yes.
Is it the lofts?
Yes. I was like, I don't know about this. I was like, this train's going to be intense. Like, we're right here. And she was like, it comes by twice a day and you don't even really hear it because they don't blow the whistle right here by the loft. Let me tell you right now, con artist. Because we move in and we are in the side that's right next to the train track, and at 4:30 every morning, and I was like, I'm dead to the world. And the sheetrock, they didn't put any insulation in between everybody, so you can hear everything around you, above you, just terrible. And so I do not suggest living it there if you are listening to this. If you work there, you need to get your crap together and fix some stuff so people can actually sleep. Anyways, started teaching a little bit in Stone Mountain, and then I just got tired of doing that commute. Legit, 100%. That was just too far.
Yeah.
At church one Sunday, we were going to Peachtree City Southside, and they announced that they were opening up a Noonan location. So this is the end of 2014. And so we were like, hey, that's perfect. It's right around the corner from us. We start serving the one location that they were at beforehand. And then the pastor was like, hey, if anybody's interested in volunteering, like just stay after church, get signed up, whatever, get you a little information. I'll never forget, I met the president of a company, social studies content, while we were sitting through trainings. We just got to talking because at the time I had done some part-time work at an online math company that was creating content, like digital stuff, way before they ever thought COVID would happen. People like they were trying, and they were like the pioneers behind it. we got to talking about that product, and then he was like, "Yeah, if you're ever interested in working, like, just come on by and just tell him, say my name when you walk in the door." And I didn't know he's the president. And the next day, I look him up online, and there's no like job application. It was like a volunteer page that was on there. And so I filled that out and emailed him. And then he emailed me back and he was like, "Yeah, you don't have to do this. Just literally come in and talk to me." And I was like, "Oh, you're the president." So I was like, "Cool." So started working there, helped develop out their entire digital curriculum program for social studies that's used K-8 here in Georgia. And then we adapted it for social studies content for South Carolina, Virginia, and a couple other states. And then I helped rewrite their hardback book or their paper books for social studies content. And then I got to travel around the state talking with teachers about why they should use our product, that kind of thing. And so I was writing it and selling it, but I wasn't on the sales team. So like it was interesting. I got to see multiple sides, and they used my advantage of being from the educational world. Oh, I forgot. I went back to school, got my teaching degree, yada yada. I did all that too. I did that. And then after about 2 years of working in a cubicle, coming from I'm a yellow. We've talked about that on the show a little bit. Very much like out there in the people kind of thing. Sitting in a cubicle can kill your spirit. And that's exactly what it did. And so I started working at local charter school. Or my wife started working there, I should say. And then I got interested in wanting to get back into the classroom. So I started talking with the principal, and then I went from there straight into being their computer teacher, technology and whatnot. And so about the same time as whenever I started photography, this is like 2015, 2016, whenever my daughter was born, because I wanted to be the next newborn photographer. Like I wanted people to fly me out all over the world and be like, this is who I would use. And I sucked. I was terrible. So bad.
Newborns are hard.
Oh my
Newborns are
gosh.
hard.
I'll have to send some pictures to Payton that she can put along with this episode. But I was terrible. So bad. But I still liked photography. And my journey with photography goes all the way back to middle school. Whenever I did a science fair project like we all had to do back in middle school. And mine was, I didn't understand why there were so many different film speeds. And so I bought 3 identical cameras, and then I got Kodak, Fuji, Polaroid, 100, 200, 400, and 800 speeds. And I just wanted to figure it all out. And that was my science fair project. Did not win anything, not even at my classroom level did I win anything. And it was cool, but I didn't get any accolades for it. But went from there, and then I grew up with the digital camera age. And, a new one would come out. I had to wait 2 or 3 years because I couldn't afford it. And so I'd always be several generations behind. But then I morphed that into what I do today with real estate photography. Because if I had to do film today, y'all be waiting like 6 months before you got pictures back. You'd have a printed book. It wouldn't be like what it is today. And I started real estate photography just because I was like, I got a camera. And here's a fun story. The very first lens I purchased, me and my wife had a fight about it because that's how we were broke as a joke. And so I was like, honey, it's $150. I was like, I can make that back in a couple shoots. And she was like, we don't have the extra right now. What are you doing? I was like, I promise. I got this. And she just tore into me. I love you, honey, but you tore into
I
me.
remember these days when you purchased a van, you were doing that part time, and you were like, honey, listen, Linda, listen. I can make the payment. I can make the payment in 2 weeks.
Yep. Exactly. I was like, I don't know how, but we'll figure it out. It was interesting. And I think that's what drove me to like really push it to where it is today, is just because I don't being told like, hey, like this might not be a good idea. Like I'm going to figure it out. And so that's a long journey, but I went full time. I've talked about it several times. Went full time in 21 right after my dad passed, and I launched straight in. At that time, I was Tyler Willis Photography, and then I got tired of people calling and going, I'm looking for so much more than just photos. And I was like, I offer so much more. So then Payton introduced me to Eric Schleppian. Shout out. And he was like, hey, you should just brand yourself like this. I hope I set everything up. We good to go. And I was like, perfect. We're doing that. And so that's how it morphed into Tyler Willis Media.
I love it. Look at how from Peru to photography and everything in between. Look at that.
That's right. Everything due from the secular world to full on church.
Full on Jaeger bombs. All right.
Jaeger bombs, baby.
And I haven't told you what I did in
Mhm.
Peru yet. So.
That's a whole other episode.
That's right. We'll
Damn.
save that one for another day.
Season is
But
about.
oh gosh, but it's just cool too because that's what I would always preach to my students. Like, you could go to college, you can go to college. It might not be what you do for the rest of your life though. Like,
Yeah.
always look for something else. Like, always be on the horizon. Always be looking out. And so, like, just never get stuck in doing something that you don't love.
Love it. Love it. Love it. That's so many different perspectives. That's why the four of us make such a good team, because everybody is bringing all kinds of background and experience in different things.
All the background. But on our next episode, we get to hear a little bit more from the GLs, the gentle ladies.
That's right. The GLs. Shut your
Oh my God.
Oh, good times. Guys, that's the end of this episode. I hope you get to know me and Christian a little bit better. If you got any questions, feel free to find us on social. Send us a DM. I'll respond. I don't know about Christian. He might not. He might be partying too much.
Not anymore, but I can tell you where to
Not
go.
anymore.
That's right.
He can still tell you where to go.
He can tell you where to go, though.
Big
Well,
contact.
guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end to find out a little bit more about us. But always on Tuesdays, look for us for new episodes in your ears, in your face, whichever one you want to do. YouTube, all the podcast channels. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you so much. Peace out.
Bye.